Our Cosmic Parents, Part 2, The Mother. Hello, my name is André and I'm a psychotherapist, and I moonlight as a spiritual teacher here on my YouTube channel. And my YouTube channel operates from the main insight that appearance is not the same as essence. You can watch my earlier video for more on the main insight of this channel. Luckily, this following statement is true. We are all children of the divine, and the universe is our playground. If we take the first part of the statement, we are all children of the divine, it furthermore becomes that we can ask the question that if we are the children, then what about our cosmic parents? I will, in order to answer this question, make a two-part video series. And in this week, in part 2, I want to investigate the cosmic mother. When we investigate our cosmic parent, we at the same time examine and demonstrate the statement that we are all children of the divine and that the universe is our playground. Let's get into it. 1. Shakti, the cosmic mother. Last week we looked at the Shiva as a cosmic father, which consists of pure unmanifested consciousness. The father represents the still element of consciousness, and yet we can observe creation and movement everywhere around us. So there must be a more dynamic aspect of consciousness, which we call Shakti, the cosmic mother. The Shakti energy is the creation and transformational power which takes the Father's unmanifested consciousness and brings it into manifestation or creation, if you will. It's the Mother's power that is responsible for the universe being here. It's the Mother's power that makes children grow up and become adults. It's the Mother's power who gives life and is the source of all development. Between Shiva and Shakti, we find the basic paradox between stillness and movement. Everything is always completely still, and yet it is also developing. The mother's creative power is non-linear and spontaneous. There are no one that creates anything. Creation jumps out and creates itself when the local conditions are favorable. It's not possible for the appearance to understand this principle, because the appearance would always look for a primary cause for creation, as we see in the Big Bang theory. In other words, the universe is approximately 13 billion years old in linear terms, with a clear beginning and thereby also a projected end sometime in the future. In the non-linear subjective reality, the universe is always only 1/10 of a second old. The past and future are abstractions of the mind of the appearance. Creation is now. So the creation is always as new and fresh as it always has been in all of the cycles of the universe. It's the inertia of the appearance which creates the illusion of everything being boring and old. That's a projection of the appearance's own tiredness by having been swung around in the unconscious karmic cycles, as described in the previous video called "We're Not Punished for Our Sins but by Our Sins, Part 2. This insight into the ever-presentness of creation is a source of strong feeling of joy, not a joy which arises as a consequence of fortunate events in the past, but instead it's a deeper joy which arises spontaneously from the Father's witness position by having first row tickets to the spontaneous creation process of the Mother, the greatest show in the universe. 2. Shakti, and transfiguration. It's the mother's energy we invite into the therapy room to get going with development and transformational processes. From the unconditional love stage, the creation process goes through a deepening and a change of its character, from transformation to transfiguration. In transformation, it was about changing the appearance, building up the personality in order to let it go of the basic identification with it. The transfiguration has a different process character and intention. Allow me first to take a small step back and provide some background before we go into the transfiguration process. The big question in all spiritual matters is how to build lasting change. With a bigger supply of psychedelic remedies, spiritual knowledge, and guru energies in the world, we see that more and more people experience peak experiences. And go back and watch my video on peak experiences and Eckhart Tolle. Peak experiences does not lead to lasting transformation because you have not had the time to build the basic essence structure behind the experience. We see a lot of people now having many peak experience and then come back from it and declare that now they're enlightened and all other kinds of funny things. It can be that they put on some spiritual clothing, surround themselves with spiritual iconography, or maybe they talk with a soft voice which says all the right words. But appearance is not the same as essence. There are no shortcut to essence. After having let go of the identification with one's appearance, the next step in the transformation in the energetic love phase before we get to transfiguration is to begin to quiet the mind by becoming more and more anchored in the father consciousness of the silent being. The influential Indian sage Sri Aurobindo describes the process of silencing the mind in a very beautiful way as follows. Quote, "A quiet mind is a mind that does not get disturbed. It's not restless and always vibrating with the need of mental action. A quiet mind makes consciousness easier. Quietude, equality, not to be disturbed by anything that happens. To keep the mind still and firm, seeing the play of forces, but itself tranquil." End quote. It's in this stillness that the transformation can turn to transfiguration. And you can start to open yourself up and start the surrender process in order to receive the true power of the mother. But that's difficult work. And now we return to quoting Sri Aurobindo again. Because, quote, "Man's nature is like a cup of dirty water. The water has to be thrown out, the cup left clean and empty, for the divine liquor to be poured into it. The difficulty is that the human physical consciousness feels it difficult to bear this emptiness. It's accustomed to be occupied by all sorts of little mental and vital movements, which keeps it interested and amused, or even if in trouble and sorrow still active. The sensation of these things is hard to bear, for it begins to feel dull and restless and eager for the old interests and movements. But by this restlessness it disturbs the quietude and brings back the things that have been thrown out. If you can accept emptiness as a passage to the true consciousness and true movements, then it will be easier to get rid of the obstacle. End quote. In other words, the transformational process happens in stages. First, you finish building the appearance and the personality. Thereafter, you let go of the appearance and move into the essence witness. From there, you use the Father's being consciousness to silence the mind and throw the dirty water out of the cup. When the personal self has been emptied out and surrendered to the universe, then the mother's force and power can find the cup, and from top to bottom fill the small self out with the mother's power, bliss, wisdom, light, and ananda, again to use Sri Aurobindo's own words. The transfiguration is thereby a deeper transformative process wherein the personal self is surrendered to the mother's force and inside out through the heart and top down through the crown, filled up with her bliss and light. More about the heart and the crown in later videos. Sadhana in its highest form is therefore the work of building out one's own inner energy structure so it can hold stronger and more powerful energies and more impersonal energies within itself. That is the way of the yoga, sadhana. The Shakti energy is thus the inbuilt creative power of the universe. It is the Shakti that is responsible for our heart's beating. It is the Shakti that flows up the spine in the energy body. And from the unconditional love states, the Shakti energy becomes so strong that it flows up and starts to connect itself with a miraculous energy field. Due to the enormous power of Shakti, it's often warned against consciously trying to awaken this energy prematurely. Sometimes it happens by itself, spontaneously, and without any prior knowledge to the Great Mother behind it. So Shiva's true form was the unmanifested cosmic consciousness. The true form of the Mother is the power, the bliss, the wisdom, the light, and the ananda. Those times in my life where I have experienced the Mother, having found my empty cup, I haven't been sufficiently built out to be able to receive her true power and keep it in my energy structure. So the transfiguration was shortened into peak experience. My sadhana is incomplete. 3. Shiva and Shakti, the cosmic parents. Shiva's true form was the unmanifested cosmic consciousness. The Mother's true form is the cosmic energy. Too much Shiva and the world becomes static and inertia filled. Too much Shakti and the creative power becomes uncontrollable and chaotic. The Father's stillness needs the Mother's creative power, and the Mother's creative powers needs the Father's order. Lastly, they start to become more and more balanced. There's still a last duality here between the Father and the Mother, between the masculine and the feminine, between consciousness and energy. Shiva and Shakti becomes an even higher level of consciousness, unified into a new whole. The Shiva-Shakti separation was needed on lower energy levels to be able to hold the universe in the arms of the parents in the paradox between stillness and movement. Here there are no more need for paradoxes. Then Shiva and Shakti meets in the last great reunion. To describe the condition of the universe after this great union, we need to use words such as the all that is, ultimate reality, and Gloria in excelsis Deo. The universe is built up of fractalized spirals that connects all dimensions in a multidimensional network. The Shiva and Shakti reunion is also therefore seen in the creation of new life in the human world. The father delivers the seeds of potential consciousness, and within the mother's creative inbuilt power, this potential consciousness is transformed into new life. The father and the mother melt together in the eternal now of the ultimate consciousness. And after the melting together and reunion, the child takes hold in the mother's stomach until the potential energy can be born and manifested into the new world. Wow. We are children of the divine. When you have been well established in the father's stillness, and you've received the mother's bliss, then the whole experience of the universe is transformed into a new experience of the universe as being a giving, loving, and unconditional supporting parent who wants us to have it all, and it's all there for our asking, because the universe is our playground. Just as we have seen with the Father and the Son in the last videos, we have also been blessed in this world to have the mother and the daughter. Because now we will turn in this last section of today's video to the daughter of the Great Mother by examining the case of Anandamayi Ma, the Cosmic Mother. 4. The most perfect flower that Indian soil has ever produced. In the 20th century, there lived a female yogini, which means woman who has mastered the yoga, which got the nickname Anandamayi Ma. Anandamayi Ma means bliss-permeated mother. A classical metaphor for life is to see it as a tree. In this metaphor of the tree of life, the leaves that are at the top and the crown of the tree gets most nourishment through the sunlight. In that way, the uppermost leaves of the tree, it finds it easiest to fold out their leaves and reach their full potential. Because of the specific circumstances at the birth of Anandamayi Ma at the top of the tree of life, she could from a very early age see that her true being was not as a leaf at the top of the tree of life, even if it's also that, but as being the whole tree. She describes it herself with this quote, "My consciousness has never associated itself with this body. Before I came on this earth, I was the same. When I was a little girl, I was the same. When the family I was born into tried to make arrangement for my marriage, I was the same. And even now, before you, I am the same. When I look at images of Anandamayi Ma and I read her words, I experience a feeling of peace and relaxation in me. With her 605 calibration, it becomes possible to cleanse out all karmic patterns of my own system just by being in her presence. Specifically patterns which relates to the essential feminine. I ask Anandamayi Ma, the Cosmic Mother, of forgiveness. Release me from ignorance about the essential feminine. Already, while I'm saying it, without saying a word, the patterns are dissolved. They were never really real to begin with. Even though she has been dead for over 40 years, she just looks at me with a blissful expression, because she is still the same."